let's get to start with. Lots of people actually have to say things here, though. And El Nino, Science, January 5th, 2024. Now, why am I talking about El Nino? Because it's pretty important and it's pretty darn important to this story. So let's just get started with right now. Now, first of all, if you remember from what I said about 2024, climate science, El Nino may actually extend record heat. Now, El Nino is just one of those weather phenomena in the world. It creates increased rain, which sometimes is good. It sometimes also creates increased heat, which is bad. And yeah, and El Nino is like a warming in the Eastern Pacific Ocean, and it's likely to grow stronger over the next few months. And this actually might help push the average global surface temperature to 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels for the first time. And that is actually terrible. In fact, we actually tried to make sure that it's less than 2 degrees Celsius. Right now, it's way more than 2 degrees Celsius, and we're gonna hit the 3 degrees mark right now. Well, soon enough. And we might be able to hit the 3 degrees mark, but I'm pretty sure we're just gonna lower it down, right? We're never gonna go to 4 degrees, right? Well, 4 degrees would be terrible. Well, El Nino is actually expected and to give us worsened drought in the Amazon, Australia. This shift, which has actually begun in 2023, is expected of helping making 2023 the hottest year in modern history, as temperatures in the first 11 months actually averaged more than 1.4 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial level, which isn't as serious as like the solar waves actually going over us and disrupting the magnetic field. At least not in the 1910s or something like that, because the only people who actually used electrical devices were telegraph workers, and all they got were nasty shocks, and no one could actually explain all that happening too. And El Nino has actually suppressed the ocean's ability to absorb heat, and as a drop in all of this, in the sun-blocking pollution, there's a big role here, which is terrible because global warming is happening right now, and we don't want global warming to happen, and these effects will continue this year, which is terrible, to be honest. Wow. Alright. Next up, we're going to have to talk about something entirely different. The race to regulate AI. Now, AI itself is terrible, in some people's opinions that is, but the thing about AI is that it's getting better. If you ask ChatGPT, it will be terrible at some things, like writing blocks.io loading prompts, but the thing is, this is pretty good, and when it comes to like but this is pretty good when it comes to like beatboxing or like those kinds of beatboxing. They're pretty useful for helping you create it too. But the thing is, AI might become very, very dangerous. If you ever watch History with Paint or like Mr. Spherical, you actually probably know what the dangers of AI is and how good AI could be. Eventually, it would be able to like cut down a server, and then it would already be spread onto another one and kept me down on the server. I'm already another one, and possibly the only way we can actually destroy all this is a massive EMP that would turn all of them back to the Stone Age. Bad. Or at the very least, the Iron Age. One thing that's true, though, is that we have to regulate AI before we actually act more. Governments around the world last year actually announced ambitious plans to increase their regulating AI speeds, and this is going to speed up this year. US agencies actually face a daunting job to flesh out policy directives announced in November 2023 by President Joe Biden's administration, as they go ahead and aimed and also signed a policy standards for responsible development of AI. And members of Congress have also been active, introducing more than 150 bills to ensure that AI is a boon, not a threat, to economic development. It will help. In fact, AI was actually used to see how good Barbie does, and it's now joined the $1 billion club. They actually looked at the actress for Barbie and checked how many revenue it will, and it gave like $724 million something dollars. And then right now, it's way more than that. It's $1 billion. It's joined the $1 billion club. Nice. And this AI is actually pretty useful too. They even used it for Mission Impossible and everything too. And that's really, really useful. Now, let's see. That's the race to regulate AI. And why should we even care about regulating AI? Imagine if there's an Ultron around the world. Would you have that? Okay, you've never watched Avengers 2? Okay, let's see. Let's say every robot in the world, if you know what every robot in the world is a criminal, and they are lawless, and every time you destroy a robot, 2 more will appear. Like Hydra. Yeah, That's pretty creepy. And finally, we have the pushback on the EU green ambitions. Now, the policy is also policy here, and with far-right nationalist parties polling actually for high pan-European elections in June, observers actually anticipate stepped-up opposition to the bloc's sprawling green agenda. And the European Green Deal, which was approved in 2020, aims to actually make the bloc the first climate-neutral continent and reach zero greenhouse emissions by 2050. At least all of Europe they're imagining too. I'm not sure if that includes Russia though, which with new climate-friendly measures planned across various policy areas, including energy, conservation, and transport. And reflecting these goals, about 1/3 of the funding under the massive Horizon Europe program will actually go to research related to climate change. And regardless of whether far-right parties end up forming the third biggest political force in the European Parliament, the majority group, the Conservative European People's Party, has already cast itself as friendly to farmers and industry by pushing back against policies aimed at reducing pesticide use, for example. That's pretty useful and darn good too. And legislation could also seek to limit the funding for the implementation of green legislation. And this date has actually went to 2050, such as and also has a conservative pushback, such as nature reservation law, which sets targets to restore degraded ecosystems. Basically, there are lots of pushbacks on what the EU wanted to go ahead to make itself eco-friendly. They're planning to become the first climate-neutral continent by 2050. I mean, to be honest, they are one of the smallest continents there. I mean, Australia is pretty small when you compare it to Asia, North America, South America, and Africa. Europe and Australia are one of the smallest continents out of the 7 of them. Also, Antarctica too. So I'm pretty sure it will be easier for the EU, a bunch of the whole Europe, except for Britain for some reason. Why did Britain leave the EU? That happened. They would all happen, and all that becoming neutral, green neutral, eco-friendly, most likely not Britain too, so if it's just the EU. But that would be great. Really hope Britain joins the EU again, so because it's so unsatisfying in my opinion. But hey, that's it. I'm not for one to give. Don't actually take that personally, British people. But hey, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I hope to see you guys soon. Until next time, Shannon out. Science. January 5th, 2024, whenever you are, keep doing science. And whenever you're doing science, be safe. Always wear a helmet, kids. Bye-bye. Thank you. And yes, always wear a helmet, kids. It will protect you.